As part of our previous class, we were discussing about material listing and exclusion functionality. Material listing and exclusion functionality. And we understood that we can use condition technique methodology to configure this material listing and exclusion. And during that time, like we also discussed about condition technique process or the condition technique steps, how the condition technique works. In pricing perspective, we discussed, and we also discussed about material listing and exclusion scenario as well. So let me open the system to continue to discuss about this topic. So are you able to see my screen?
No, Venkat.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. So in order to continue to discuss about material listing and exclusion configuration process, we need to get into SPRO, IMG, sales and distribution, and basic functions. So if you can go here, listing and exclusion. Okay. So we already discussed about maintaining the condition tables for listing and exclusion. And also we discussed about maintaining the access sequence for listing and exclusion. Now we are going to discuss about the procedure, configuration of the, now we are going to discuss about configuration of material listing and exclusion procedure. Okay. So the standard procedure for material listing and exclusion is A0001, and the standard procedure for listing and exclusion B00001. So the standard procedure for material listing is A000001, and the standard procedure for material exclusion is B00001. So if you can go to the control data, okay, it is not going to have any complex like pricing. If you remember, if you remember that in the pricing procedure there are total 16 fields. There are total 16 fields which we which we defined, which we discussed during the so there were total 16 fields what we discussed, but whereas in the material listing procedure or material exclusion procedure, we did not have that many, or we do not have that many fields. We have only one condition type which is for listing A001, and one more condition type B001 under the B001 exclusion procedure. So that way the A00001 procedure, that is material listing procedure, is having one condition type, is having the one condition type in the control data, that is A001, and also under the B000 one procedure, that is material exclusion procedure, we will be having, or we have other condition type B001. And if you can see the requirement, so what is the use of requirements? What is the use of requirement routine? Like, you know, all these are routines, all these are a small piece of code. A routine is a piece of code. A routine is a piece of code, a piece of program, a small piece of program which control the system, So these routines are used as part of the requirements, like requirement routine, alternative calculation routine, or alternative condition based routine, or copy control routine. We will discuss later. Okay, basically it is a piece of code or small piece of program which is being used to define the requirements for pricing, or define the requirements for any SD area. Okay, that's the only having. So here the use of the requirement is, if in case, if you have any special condition, if you have any special condition to determine this condition type, then you can write that condition using the requirements. So using this requirement routines, so now we have only one routine. If you want to add one more routine, if you want to create one more routine, you can do that. So what it does, what this condition does, or what this requirement routine does, basically it will help you to control the determination of condition type. So when to determine a condition type, or when not to determine a condition type, that is what the requirement can do. Okay, so that is straight simple. It's not so complex like pricing, very simple. So you need to define the condition tables. So whatever the condition table means, whatever the key combination you need to maintain the material listing and condition record later point of view. So those key combinations you create as a condition tables for material listing and exclusion, and then you place all those condition tables in a material listing exclusion access sequence, and then the access sequence is placed under the condition type of material exclusion, that is A001. So, and then you are assigning the condition type, material listing condition type A001, the material listing condition type A001 to the material listing procedure A00001. If you remember, we created our own condition types like B001, G001 and GB01, right? One for listing and one for exclusion. So in the similar way, what we do now, we will create now our own material listing procedure, and also we will create our own material exclusion procedure. So let me copy the standard one. So let us say G001. Okay, and then create for the exclusion also. So let us change this first. Let us change this first, like G001 listing. Okay, so we don't need the standard one. We have our own condition type, that is Z001, right? This is our condition type. Okay, assign it. That's it. The listing procedure is created. Now create our own procedure for the exclusion as well. So exclusion B001, right? The exclusion is, this is standard, and copy, make it to GB001, and that is Genova's exclusion. Exclusion procedure. If you go to the control data, so it is having the standard exclusion condition type, the standard exclusion condition type B001. Now what we can do, we can use the GB01, that is exclusion condition type, which is created for our practice. Okay, now if I go back, so now we have our own listing procedure, that is G00001, and we have our own exclusion procedure, that is GB0001. Okay, so now we created the procedures. So we created our own condition tables, we created our own access sequence, and also we created our own condition type. Okay, first we created a condition table with required fields, and then we place all the condition key combinations or the condition tables under the access sequence, and that is A001. We created our own, the A001 access sequence, A001 access sequence, the standard, and we created our own access sequence G001, and then we created our own condition type G001 and assigned the access sequence, and now we created a new material listing procedure for our company, that is G0001, and assigned the condition type G001 we assigned, and also we created one more procedure for material exclusion, that is GB001. So we need one procedure for listing and one procedure for the exclusion. Okay, that means as of now procedures are created. So where do you want to use these procedures, or where do you want to control these procedures in our business process? At what point you wanted to use these procedures, like material listing or material exclusion? At what time you wanted to utilize this functionality? Hello?
When creating a material.
Material, not material, right?
Sorry, no. When creating an order.
Yes, when creating the order. So because of that reason, when creating the order, basically the use of creating all these steps, in order to use this material listing and exclusion functionality while creating the order. So that means when you are creating the sales order, basically your sales order, during the creation of the sales order, the system, your SAP system should stop selling exclusion products, whatever the exclusion list is excluded for the given customer. If you try to create, it has to stop that. At the same time, the system should allow the products which are under the listing, which are defined as a listing products. So this functionality has to be utilized during the processing of the sales order. That means while creating the sales order, if you do the configuration, if you maintain the master data, system should be in a position to control, to utilize this functionality. That is our goal. So because of that reason, where do we need to assign this procedure? Because of that reason, where do we need to assign this procedure? The material listing procedure and material exclusion procedure. We need to assign it to our sales document type, right? Am I correct? We need to assign it to our sales document. So this is the final step. So we start from here. That is basically when you say the condition technique, it has condition tables. Those are the key combinations, and then access sequence, and then condition type, and then procedure. What
Pricing, the procedure.
Procedure, like if it is pricing procedure. If it is material listing procedure. If it is exclusion procedure. Basically, it's a procedure. Okay, procedure, and then finally assign that procedure. To wherever it is required. For example, from the material listing and exclusion perspective, we need to assign this material listing procedure and exclusion procedure to the sales document. Whereas in the pricing perspective, pricing scenario, where do we assign? We assign the pricing procedure. To the sales organization, distribution channel,
Sales area,
basically sales,
CPP and DPP.
and also customer pricing procedure and the document pricing procedure. These 5 element combination, we assign the pricing procedure. And if it is something else, we assign somewhere else. Okay, we will see there are different determinations. So we started understanding the determinations we started understanding the procedures with pricing, and then now we are trying to understand material listing procedure and exclusion procedure, and there are also some other procedures: material determination procedure, partner determination procedure, okay, texture determination procedure, tax determination procedure. Like that, there are other determination procedures as well. We will discuss during that time. So now we need to assign the procedure to the activate, sales document type. Okay. So each sales document you can assign whatever the procedure you want. So what is our order? ZBOR. Okay. So assign our own listing. We have our own listing, right? So that is listing is G001 and exclusion is GB001. Okay. Now assign it. So this is the configuration what we do. So once we complete the configuration, what is left over before we start creating the sales order, before we start creating the transactions? What is remaining after configuration? What we need to do? For example, pricing, what we did after configuration, what we did in the front end, easy access level or end user level, what we did before start creating the transactions. What we need to do? We have to create master data, right? We need to create the conditions, because as of now, while doing the configuration, did you specify anywhere while doing the configurations, whatever the while creating the condition table, while creating the access sequence, while creating the condition type, while creating the material listing procedure or exclusion procedure, or while assigning the material listing procedure to the sales document type, or assigning the material exclusion procedure to the sales document type? So did we specify anywhere? So this is the product which is not supposed to sell to this customer, or this is the product which is supposed to sell to only this customer. Did we specify anywhere during all these configuration steps?
No.
No, right? We did not do. So we did not do. Now if you go and create sales order, is there any impact?
Yeah, it will be, because it is not assigned to a material.
I mean,
Or
whether the system is going to stop any material for any customer just based on the configuration?
no, it won't.
Okay. Everybody understanding? Vijay. So if I just do the configuration and try to create the transactional data, will it going to have the impact? I mean, will it going to work? Will it going to work? The listing and exclusion approach. For example, if I want to block a material to a customer, will it work just based on the configuration?
No.
What we need to do, Vijay? We need to maintain
Assign it to sales organization.
condition. We need to assign. We need to create the condition records. That is master data. We need to maintain the master data. So let us maintain. Save it. So the T code to create the material listing or material exclusion master data, or the T code to create material listing and exclusion condition record is VB01. So first let us create exclusion. So GB001. So customer. Let me find our customer. So our customer is Ramson Technologies. Enter the customer. Now I'm excluding this material. Okay. So what I did, I created an exclusion list. This first customer. So that means what is my what was my business requirement? Because of what business requirement I did this? I don't want allow the customer to buy this product, right? I don't want my customer to buy this product. That's why I maintain an exclusion list as part of this material exclusion record. Am I correct? Right? Okay. So now if I go and try to create the sales order, so for this material, what is going to happen, we'll see. So my customer, okay. So if I enter this material and quantity, see what the system is doing that. So Shailaja, what the system is doing that? Is the system allowing us to move further? No, right? In SAP, there are three different kind of messages while creating any transaction. While creating any transaction, you will come across three things. Okay? One is error message. This is error message. One is error message and other one is warning, and next one is the information. Okay? Information message, just information kind of thing. Warning, it gives the warning. That means at that point it will be okay. If it is a warning, it allows you to move further. If it is a warning, it allows you move further, but later point it will create, you will have, if you do not take an action for the warning, at this point it will allow you, if it is any warning message in SAP, it allows you to move further, allows you to save, but you have to correct it before it is going to become bigger problem. So whereas if it is error message, it will not allow you to save at all. It will not allow you to complete the transaction at all. So now it is the error message. So what is the error message you are getting? material T-GTR has been excluded. So since you created an exclusion record saying that this material is excluded for this customer, what has happened? System is not allowing you to move further. So this is the benefit of the material exclusion functionality in SAP SD module, so that your business users never commit a mistake, right? For example, if you do not have this kind of functionality, so maybe one user may be familiar with all these things, but when that user is not available and another user is working, what he tried to do, since or because of the reason he never knew that this material is exclusion, he will go ahead and create a transaction, right? Which is a big problem for the business. Am I correct? So that is the reason if you use the material listing and exclusion functionality, you can control from the systematically. So not only that, so even in SAP, like most of the 99% of the times, the system will create the sales order. It's not the business users create the sales orders daily. Your system, your SAP system, if you schedule the background jobs, batch jobs, there are some programs which we use in the background jobs. If you schedule the background jobs at particular point of time, that background job will create the sales orders, will create the deliveries, or will perform the goods issues, or even it can create the billing documents. So how does the system know whether it can create a sales order for a particular material for a given customer or not? So it doesn't know, right? That is the reason why what SAP did. SAP provided a functionality called material listing and the exclusion. So this is how the exclusion works. So now you cannot move in any further step. You cannot move to any further step. Okay. So I'm canceling this transaction. Okay. So now let me delete that record. VB02. So this is the deletion. Okay, save it. So now if I go and try to create sales order, see what is going to happen. Is it giving any message? Error message? No, right? Because we removed the exclusion list. Okay. So now we are going to try to use the listing functionality. Okay. What is listing? So material listing specifies what list of products allowed to buy, what are the list of the products allowed to sell to a particular customer. Okay. Okay. So go to what is the T code to create VB01, right? To create material listing or material exclusion condition records, the same T code. VB01 is the T code, transaction code. So the listing type is what? What is our listing type? G001. And then maintain customer and material. Okay. Okay. So I maintain a listing condition record. So it will allow, right? Because I specified only this product should be allowed to sell to this customer. It allowed. Okay. So this is the warning message. So now, is it stopping you anything? So it is not stopping you, right? It is just giving the warning saying that this purchase order is already being used for other order. So now you can change it to 6. Okay, now it will be gone. Okay, so enter, continue. So now it is not stopping anything because we already instructed the system this customer is allowed to buy only this product. So now what we will try to do, we will try to create a new sales order with a different material for the same, with a different material. We will see what is going to happen. Okay, so let us try to create one more material. What is the T code to create a new material? MM01, MM01 and T underscore GTR underscore. So the new material is GBS underscore 123. So specify the material type. So whether it is the finished product or raw material, semi-finished product. So basically FERT is the finished product. The material type for the finished product is FERT. Okay. Organizational levels. So our plant is GB00. Okay. So what is our storage location? GB. So did we not create any storage location as of now? Okay, we'll create later, but without storage location we can go ahead. So GB00 is the sales organization and the GB is the distribution channel and also our division also. We don't need division at this moment while creating this. Okay. Okay. So now you can say GBS underscore 123 material. So specify the material group. So base unit of measure is each. Okay. So you have to specify whether this item is tax exempted or tax eligible. So let us say tax exempted at this moment. Okay. So So go to the sales organization 2 and sales general plan data. So you can specify whether it is required for the availability check, and if it is required, if it is relevant for, we can specify whether it is relevant for the availability check or not. If it is relevant, whether you want to transfer the requirements individual or daily basis. Okay, and you can specify this transportation group 0001, which is standard. Okay, like pallets, whatever the transportation group you use, you can use that. And also whatever the loading group, whether you wanted to use forklift or manual or crane, whatever it is, you can specify. Okay, so and then you can save the material. Okay, now the new material is created. So now if I go and create, sales order for this customer with the different material which is not listed, see what is going to happen. GBS underscore 123 and quantity 100. Enter the payment terms. See, so because what we did, we already instructed the system. Whatever the products are relevant, whatever the products are supposed to sell to a particular customer. So that means what we can do in SAP SD, we can do two things. We can tell the system what products are allowed to sell, what products are allowed to create a transaction, and what products are not allowed to create a transaction. That is, the products which are allowed to create a sales order, the products which are allowed to sell a customer, that list is called material listing. The products which are not allowed, for a customer, which are excluded for a customer, is call it as material exclusion functionality. So that way you can systematically control all your the product exclusion or product listing requirements in the day-to-day business process. So everybody understand what the material listing and what the material exclusion is, how it works. So basically there are three things what you can do, what you have to do to understand this scenario or to execute this scenario in the system. You have to complete the configuration process for the material listing and exclusion, that is creation of the condition table, creation of the access sequence, and the creation of the condition type, and then assign the condition type to the material listing procedure and material exclusion procedure, and assign the material listing and exclusion procedure to your sales document type, and then you have to create the master data, which is front end or end user activity, using the VB01 transaction code. So while creating the condition record for the material listing and exclusion, you can specify which products are excluded, which products are listed to that customer. And then when you come back to the transactional processing, while creating the transaction, the system will remember everything. The system will keep it in mind and react accordingly. So if you excluded a product for a customer, it says that the product is excluded, you cannot create. Or if you create a list, system will tell you, so you already created a list for this customer and the other product is not listed. Please either you can list it or stop the transaction. So that is the way how you can do that. So everybody understand? Hello?
Yes, Venkat.
Okay, that's fine. And let me create a few more transactions. So for example, if I list this material, what is going to happen? Let me list this material. VB 0, 1, customer material, key combination we wanted to use. So add this material to the list. GBS underscore 123. Okay, now two materials are listed to this customer. So if I go and try to create VI01, okay, GB underscore 123, and the second material is, what is that? T underscore GTR. What is the other material? T underscore GTR, and then okay. So now it allowed, right? It allowed because you already restricted the system. These two products are allowed to sell this customer. Am I correct? Okay. So let us go to the pricing part, or no, let us see, is there any incomplete data here? Edit, incompletion log. Okay. So we still have the plant is incomplete. The plant is incomplete. Can anyone explain me why the plant is incomplete? I already explained you in the previous classes. So for the 10, only the shipping point is blank, incomplete. For the 20, we have plant is incomplete, we have gross weight is incomplete, and we have net weight is incomplete, and shipping point is incomplete. Can anyone tell me? How the plant will determine in the sales order? How the plant will determine in the sales order? What is the criteria? Here,
It should be maintained under customer master info record.
first it will look at is there any plant assigned to the customer material information record or not? Customer material information record. So if the customer,
Then after that it goes to material, and then yeah, it goes to material.
first it will look at the customer material information record. It will go to the VD53 record, that is customer material information record. If it is there, it will bring. If it is not there, then it will go to the customer master record. Okay, second preference goes to the customer master record. It goes to the customer master record. Even if they are also not there, then it will go to the material master record. So for this material, we maintain the plant at the material master record. Okay, MM02, go to the change mode of that material. So basically we need to maintain the delivery plant. Okay. So there is sales general plant data. So delivering plant GB 0, 0. Save it. So if I save it, so now if I go and try to create, we cannot update the plant and all. We have to create new sales order. Okay. So GBS underscore 123 and the second material is T underscore GTR. So 10 quantity and the 20 quantity. Okay. You see, is the plant blank now or a plant already there for both? So now the plant is available for the both items, right? You can see plant for the item 10 and you can see the plant at the item 20. So now the plant is updated because we maintain the plant one in the customer material information record, and for other material we maintained at the material master record. So that means, let me tell you, system will determine the plant. System will determine the plant for a product in the sales order based on three conditions. System will determine plant for a product in the sales order based on three conditions. So those three conditions are okay. So condition 1. So system will look for customer material info record. So first it will look for whether the plant is available under this record. If the deliver plant is available in this record, then the system will update here. The system will update in the sales order. If the plant is not available in the customer material information record, then it will go and look at system will look for customer master record. So if the plant is there, if the plant is available, if the delivery plant is available in the customer master record, then the plant will be determined in the sales order. If in case even in this record also plant is not there, let us say the plant is not available in the customer material information record and the plant is also not available in the customer master record, then where it will look? In the next step, it will look for system will look for plant in the material master record. So if the plant is available, then the system will assign plant to the product in the sales order. So this is the criteria. First it will look for, is the plant available, is the delivery plant information available in the customer material information record or not. If it is not there, the second preference goes to customer master record. And if it is also not there, the third preference goes to material master record. If the plant information is not available in all the three places, what is going to happen in the sales order? In the sales order, the plant field will be what? Will be blank, right? The plant field will be blank. That is what happened in the previous sales order. When we create a previous sales order, by the time we did not maintain plant anywhere. That's why it was blank. But now we maintain the plant in the material master record. Now the item 10 is able to determine the plant in the sales order. Okay. So this is the criteria. This is called very, very important. This is called plant determination rule. Plant determination rules are the plant determination rule. So what are the rule? The rule 1 says look for customer material info record. The rules 2 says if it is not there, look for customer master record and assign it. If it is not there, look for material master record. If it is there, assign it. If it is not available in all the 3 places, just make that field as a blank field in the sales order and it shows incomplete. Okay, so this is like how the plan determination works in SAP SD module. So everybody clear?
Yes, Venkat.
Okay. What is tomorrow? Okay, we will have class tomorrow also. Okay, same time 9:30. Tomorrow 9:30 we will have class. Please join. We'll start a new topic. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Tejo, I will call you tomorrow. Okay, I will call you tomorrow. Maybe sometime around 11 or 12 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, my phone, I lost my phone and then I just ordered the new phone today. Probably I will get it by tomorrow. But I will try to call you from my landline. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.